All right, what's up, my brothers? So in this video, the topic is going to be dealing with a woman when she goes cold, distant, dark on you. I don't think I've covered this before, and it happens more often than you'd think. I've talked to loads of guys about this in my coaching practice. What eventually happens in a long-term relationship is she's going to start making requests, maybe even demands of you that you're not willing to fulfill, or maybe it's a hard boundary for you, like you set frame and you're like, I'm not doing something like that. And if she feels hard done by, mistreated, something is unfair, for example, what typically ends up happening is a woman will generally go cold on you. She'll start to go distant. But here's how you deal with it is first take a look at yourself. I'm the guy that always says, look in the mirror and hold that guy accountable. First, take a look at yourself and ask yourself this question. If I'm a guy and my job as a man is a success object in the relationship, she has to look upon me as the best that she can do. I'm out there putting a dent in the universe. I'm significant. I'm competent. I can solve problems. I have skills. I know how to make money. I'm fit. I'm handsome. I take care of myself. I present well. I dress well. All that sort of stuff. So if you're holding up your end of the bargain, but she's not holding up her end of the bargain because she's going cold, I would ask the question this way. What would you do in a business partnership in something like that? Let's take Apple back in the day when it was Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. If you're unfamiliar with that duo, Steve Jobs, you probably know his name, was the outside guy in the business. He was the turtleneck dude on the stage with the sneakers, holding up the new product. Check out her new iPod, iPhone, whatever. It's awesome. He would broadcast to the world the awesomeness of the wonderful products that they were putting together in their factories. Steve Wozniak, his business partner, one of the very early employees, was the inside guy. So you're going to see where I'm getting at in a second. He was the inside guy. His responsibility was to engineer the things that Jobs was talking about. His job was to create and put the systems in place and make sure that they all functioned as advertised, as Jobs would talk about when he was on the stage marketing them to his audience. So in a partnership like that, where you have an inside guy and an outside guy, what do you think would happen if Steve Jobs on a stage was promising to deliver something that Wozniak in the back end wasn't capable of or even caring about, doing nothing about it? I think it's the same thing in a long-term relationship. If you're holding up your end of the bargain, you're doing the work, but you do things like, no, I'm not going to do that, or you set a boundary because you disagree with something that she wants to do. Let's say she wants to run off with the girls for a girls' weekend and hang out. That's just a no-go zone for you. You know, we've talked about this many, many times before. And then she goes cold on you, or distant, or she goes dark, or she spends less time with you, or she's less affectionate. Understand you're doing your job. You're holding up your end of the bargain. You are doing what you need to do. If in a business partnership, your business partner isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, you would probably replace them, right? You would look elsewhere. So why are you tolerating cold, distant behavior from a woman? It's my opinion that you want to deal with this early on. Don't let it go on for weeks, months, years, especially months and years, definitely not. As soon as you catch wind or get the vibe, if you will, that she's going distant and cold or dark on you, for example, she's less responsive. You know what it looks like. She's less responsive. Her texts go from long paragraphs to one-word answers. If you're in the dating phase, let's say like you're not living together, for example, or married, she would commonly send you text messages in the morning. Hey, babe, love you. Can't wait to see you later, da-da-da-da sort of thing. It's just quiet. It's dark. It's cold. You know what it is. If she goes dark and cold on you, you keep doing what you're doing. You're holding up your end of the bargain. You're doing your job. Okay? If she's not doing her job, let her know. You're not holding up your end of the bargain. What's with the cold, distant behavior that I'm picking up on? She's going to deny it. Oh, I'm not cold. It's this, that, or the other thing. Or Becky from work pissed me off. It's like, that's fine, but it's been going on for this length of time. And that's not just, Becky from work or something along those lines. So you call her out on it. You make the statement. You make it clear to her that you're not going to tolerate her not holding up her end of the bargain, because no guy wants to deal with inviting a gal into his life. She says to him, where do we stand? Are we in a relationship? I want to claim you. I don't want to share you. And then months or years into that relationship, she starts to behave cold towards you, or distant, or indifferent, or even worse, she expresses contempt for you. I've said this many times, contempt is the clock that will count down to the end of the relationship. If a woman expresses contempt for you, that relationship is pretty much over, or it's going to be over soon. So if you're in something that you've invested in, you want to continue to work, and it might be taking a little bit of a sidetrack, a little bit of a side road, a detour, if you will, off the beaten path, and you want to correct the behavior, have a word. What's up with the coldness? What's up with the distance? You know, I used to get these texts in the morning. Now you've been absolutely silent. You're spending more time at the office. That could be very bad news. Spending more time with her friends outside of the house. That could be very bad news, especially if she's getting dressed up for that and she dresses down around you. Could also be bad news. You don't need to stay in a situation like that. You are well within your rights to tell her, look, if you're going to be cold and distant, that's fine. I'm going to go find something that's affectionate and warm towards me if I'm not for you. Just be honest and let her know. And she's either going to smarten up, let you know what's up, and correct the behavior, or she's not, and you can just move on from there. But at the end of the day, why would you endure a difficult relationship with a woman that you've invested in, that's asked for your time, that's wanted your commitment, and put up with indifference, coldness, distance, meanness? It's disgusting. It's a bad look on the relationship. It's certainly a bad look on her, especially if you're doing your part. Again, I said from the get-go, if you're doing your part. If you're missing something, then sort out your end first, of course. But if you're doing your part and it's unnecessary, it's unwarranted even, have a word, make the statement, and let her know. You know, if you're not going to behave warmly towards me, if you're going to be cold, that's fine. There's other women out there. It's very straightforward, guys. Don't tolerate bad behavior. You're going to get out of life what you tolerate.